Welcome to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message, spiritual message, I should say, like a few messages for Gemini. Now, if you're new to the channel, I always open up my readings looking at the karmic themes, the spiritual blocks, the karmic lessons, the energy that tends to throw a monkey wrench within the experience, where we could say, oh, I have this great opportunity, but, and it's always the but that we're afraid of, and the but is what creates fear, right? It's again when that the unknown. So when we're not confident in ourselves due to a lot of times past experiences, we form perceptions of ourselves, and these perceptions, when we've gone through negative experiences, will create an imbalance within our energy. And an imbalance within our energy could be psychologically, where we look at ourselves from a very imbalanced perspective. It could be from an emotional perspective, where we may be triggered very easily. We could and then react, because our reactions a lot of times are unconscious. They're just automatic. So when we have trauma, part of our survival mechanism is, again, that we act reactive. So a lot of times we're not conscious of what we do. We're not conscious of how we participate in the undesirable life experiences that unfold within our life. So that's why I really like to open up my readings with looking at the spiritual and karmic lessons first, because this is a healer channel. So what you're healing is you're healing the psychological, which is psychic, and emotional, because what is psychic energy? Is psychological, of the mind, and of the heart, the emotion. That's what psychic energy is. So psychologically, we co-create with the world and the people in the world through the thoughts that we think and the actions that we have. Unfortunately, a lot of times our actions are automatic, again, unconsciously automatic, or we're unconscious to what it is that we do, or we could be experiencing things like psychological reversals where we can't seem to get out of our own way. So being able to determine exactly what the issue is, the spiritual imbalance is, allows us a gateway into healing, allows us to take a good look at ourselves and to be able to integrate the spiritual lesson by knowing what the imbalance is. Integrating the spiritual lesson just means seeing a different perception of your experience that you're living. This is why it's important, because in healing, in order to really break a karmic cycle, we have to go through the experience a few times, a lot of times, okay? A lot of times we don't learn that lesson the first time, but we also have to be grounded. We have to be in the here and now and learn what it is that we're doing. We have to have that awareness, and that happens in grounding and taking a look at ourselves. Then we need to integrate the spiritual lesson, and that's by doing something different so that we see ourselves different. So the third step would be participating more in life so we could see ourselves differently. That will help you recreate a neurological pathway of how you perceive yourself, and also create a new perception of yourself. The spirit, the soul of everybody is, again, there's a God part of self, and that God part of self is the truth part of self, and that part of self always knows. And our intuition, when we listen to our intuition, not our anxiety, not what we want and desire, but our intuition, we're able to be led into a place of real truth and healing, so that we can co-create with everyone in our environment to create the life and the life experiences that we want to have. So that is the only difference between my page. I do look at past, present, and future. situations as well, because that's the whole point in knowing what the spiritual issue is. It's like we want to know how to apply it in life. So we do those type readings as well. It's just it's done a little bit different. Have you noticed release attentive repressed nature flipped over? And you might be like, what the hell is that? Well, release attentive repressed nature is when you are like purposely repressing energy. It's you're conscious about it. It's called suppression. When you are repressing something, you are no longer realizing that you're doing it. It's just automatic. So this is release attentive and repress nature. So attentive would be like always being on guard, always being tapped in and aware, always acting on what other people want. And maybe you were conditioned in an environment to do this. It's again, or maybe you're an empath or a highly sensitive person. And part of your emotional fulfillment and how it makes you feel good is by doing for other people. The problem is that if you're continually doing stuff unconsciously to make people happy, that became part of your survival. And you're not realizing that you're unconsciously teaching people not to respect you or not to do for you, because we teach people through our boundaries, and by teaching them how we want to be treated by how we are treating ourselves. So what you're doing is you're treating yourself like you don't matter. Because, you don't, repression is, like I said, you've just been doing it for so long that it became part of your unconscious mind, part of your ego. And the ego is part of your survival. Okay, spirit descending. So this is really how to release it, because a lot of people are like, okay, well, that's great that I might have that, but how do I heal it? How do I integrate it? Well, the spirit descends. And as I was saying, there's a God part of self. That's a supernatural part of ourselves. Okay. So it's this part of tapping into the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm is of the mind. So you can trick the mind to believing anything, but how can you trick the mind? And that's really to create yourself, to become yourself, to feed yourself through the people that you surround yourself with, through how you choose to spend your time, your energy, your focus, and your money, right? By feeding all these different avenues of life, you begin to create yourself. Because a lot of people don't know what they like and what they don't. That's why we have this energy. We need to release something that's not us. It's a behaviorism, but that was taught. But when we release things that no longer serve and support, whether that's the shoes that are in your closet that you haven't worn, or the pair of jeans that are a size 2 that you should have gotten rid of, but you haven't, because it's one day you might, then you're not leaving space or room for anything new to come into your life. Spirit descends through first our imagination and our mind. It takes a mustard seed, God makes that multiply, right? So meaning, like, if I feed something a little bit every day, my energy, and my energy is not just my focus, it's how much love I put into something, how much energy I put into something. Then the spirit descends, because the spirit is part of our soul. Our soul is what determines what the spirit will do. The spirit is of the Holy Spirit, and it works through us. And that's how we can co-create. And we co-create by, again, the choices that we make, the thoughts that we think, and again, where you're putting your energy. So this is how it's saying to release it, because you might have grown up in a very codependent relationship, and codependency, what we see a lot of times is it almost looks like over time, not in the beginning, over time, that one person has all the energy, all the power, Maybe they're the breadwinner of the house, so they can tend to do whatever they want, and the other person has a lot of the responsibility, but they both need each other. One person needs the other person for emotionally, even though they're the ones that are doing everything to keep that person there. And the other person needs the other person to kind of be like a slave, to be what, and why I say slave, I mean slave in every essence, whether that's a sexual slave, whether that's a, a business slave, whether that's whatever, the person is using them as almost as if they're an extension of themselves. Because again, there's that person didn't create a part of themselves. So, and this will come out in different areas. It doesn't necessarily even mean with a relationship. Gemini, this could be your work. This could, again, be something that just have a hold on you. And this is, again, that you need to release it. Okay, because it's self-denying. Again, when we're not living from the spirit part of self, but we're living more from the logical, analytical mind. And then we become more like the world. And we don't want to become more like the world because the world is imbalanced and distorted, especially now. We see that there's a spiritual war happening right now. And that's one that will keep you in self-denial because you don't know who your spirit is. And the spirit is, again, is what connects us to each other. It's known as love, okay? Everybody has it. Love is actually ubiquitous, like the air. It's prana, it's chi. It's also known as the Holy Spirit, depending on what language or religion you're talking, okay? It's called many different names, many different names, but we know it as, again, as the air that we breathe, the universe, that energy. And that energy is supposed to work through us. But if we have a lot of spiritual blocks because we're like, we need to release something, right? We need to release something so that our spirit can descend out of us, okay, to work through us, because that's what its job is to do when we're breathing in the air and circulating through our body, right? And then it's working through us. We get to see the supernatural part of ourselves. We actually get to heal. We get to heal feeling supported. A lot of times we don't see support. We get to see support work through us and work through the environment. Again, because the universe, which is God, works through people, okay? So when the student is ready, the teacher appears. We're not in charge of who or what comes into our life that helps us evolve. We don't know that part either. We don't know what the vehicles are that spirit's going to bring to us that help us evolve. But you're self-denying yourself by having a relationship with spirit, with God, with the universe, when you are holding on to things that you don't need to hold on. And again, when you're holding on, not just holding on, it's become part of your ego, which is part of your survival mind, right? So this is why it's bad. Okay, the gift of style. Finding your gift of style. The gift of style is your unique individuality, which is an actual unfoldment process. This is how the spirit first descends, but the next step, when the spirit descends, you have to find your gift of style. That we're not a jack of all trades, master of nothing. Everybody has their style. Just like there's a bunch of different tarot readers on YouTube. Well, we all have our own different style. And depending on what that style is what you're going to resonate with. And that is, again, you become a magnet for who and what needs to come into your life. We're not in charge of who comes into our life. We're not in charge of who resonates with us. It's, again, the gift of style isn't about that. The gift of style is an unfoldment process through, again, what you're feeding and what resonates with you. And then you're creating yourself. And this is how no one can ever copy you. This is how you know that you're not here by mistake. If you say, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know, like there's problems. Well, you know that you're not, is that you're actually here as part of God's design, part of the universe's design. You're actually down here in physical form to remember why you are down here. And that happens through the gift of style. Now, if you're, again, holding on to things that aren't you and you're self-denying yourself of actually creating yourself. So this is why abundance would be limited. This story tells me that somebody, again, Gemini, has financial problems. They're stuck in a limited perception of who they are because they haven't formed their unique gift of style. That's a problem because money has no energy except for the energy you're giving it. And it's, again, how much love you're giving it. That's the key to success, okay? Virtue, that's also how you hold that high vibration. The high vibration of love is, again, you need to be in this energy. And that comes through the authenticity of your gift of style. And again, how much love you're giving it. So this isn't about being perfect. This isn't about knowing everything. This is about having the confidence to be interactive in finding yourself and finding that style. It's, again, otherwise you're going to look at yourself and stay stuck in being angry with yourself, in being angry with yourself, and maybe passing on maybe how a parent, if you had grew up in an abusive home because your family, maybe your mom and dad weren't taught to find their gift of style. They were taught they had to go out and make money. They were taught, go get married, have children, you'll live a great life, and then go make money. They weren't taught to create themselves, find their passion. They weren't taught that. They were taught, go make money for survival, which creates this energy of maliciousness because it doesn't work that way because we don't stay the same. The gift of style allows us to go with the flow of life. It allows us to be flexible in our body and mind because it's, again, we're doing what we love. And when you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter what or how you're doing it. And so that's the thing. And if you're not doing what you love, your mind tends to be on outside things and people and situations. And we can't control what people do. Now, you can, again, a lot of times, if you are in a relationship where you feel like, okay, I feel like I'm self-denying myself, because, again, this energy can mirror out into not just one area of life. Over time, we know if we're self-denying within our relationship, then we're also self-denying a lot of times within other passions and other areas of our life. And it's because it's the way that we have to compensate. It's, again, where you're taking energy from somewhere. And this is an imbalance on an energetic, an esoteric level, okay? So it's, again, of the psychic mind. So, and that will mirror out within imbalances within your experiences, how deep, how rich the experience is, and also leaves a lot of room for fear. And fear will mirror out as getting betrayed, as feeling shameful. Again, these lower shadow energies, because maliciousness, there's only two energies, love and fear. So we know that fear comes from maliciousness, that people really aren't mean, they're fearful. They get anxiety that looks like they're mean, but really only two energies, love and fear, on a spiritual level, that is. So when we're seeing maliciousness, it's, again, it means that we're getting triggered a lot. Maybe other people are mean to us. Maybe we were giving other people a lot of energy, a lot of our time and our focus, or maybe people that have a hard time with our boundaries. This will happen too as a sign of not knowing who you are, because unconsciously you're giving other people then too much energy because you're self-denying, figuring out who you are. And that is a huge problem. So I want to look at, again, some Akashic record cards. See what it has to say. Again, Temple of the Rose, ancient power, expression, activation, Scarlet Code. So this is talking, again, about creating yourself, finding yourself, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. Your ancient power is, again, that ancient power is that the God part of self, the supernatural part of yourself. That's your power. Your power is also your unique individuality, your flavor, your essence. And then your expression is that too, is how you're, again, sharing that with the world. It's how you're giving and receiving of love through your free will. It's, again, that's your expression again. And then activation is when you're, again, connecting so deep with people and you can feel that it opened up something, it activated something within their consciousness. Okay. And that's what that's all about. So that talks about exactly the gifted style. And we don't know what that is because it's, again, it's an unfoldment process. So first we have to find it. And we find it the way that every creator does. And if you're a creator or a musician or anything in the arts, you feed your mind the things that you like. And that's by learning about other artists, by learning how other people do things. We learn from other people. And then what happens is we take pieces from a lot of different elements, whether that's museums, other creators, other authors, or other musicians, whatever it is. And a lot of times not even from our own field, just, again, things that inspire us, and then we put our own twist on it. So again, that's why it's not one size fits all. We all tend to do things differently depending on what calls to us. And so this is what it's saying. It's saying you have to find that. The ancient wisdom is inside of you, because the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. The kingdom of God's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. So this is where this message is saying, Gemini, you like that you might be successful in business, but then you're feeling empty. And if you are, it's because that you're stuck, and you'll be stuck over time because you'd be just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, very repetitious, almost eating the same food day in, day out. You would become bored. Well, again, the gift style makes it so that we're never bored. It makes it so that we're always in a high vibration. So we're attracting people to us and things to us that feed our soul, feed our spirit, again, and feed our passions. So we're never self-denying. It's impossible. One more Akashic record, and this is alignment, flow, right relationship, harmony. So it's, again, this is also talking about what I just said, which is you become in alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of nature, because, again, you're loving yourself by creating yourself. So you're not self-denying. So when you become the vibration of love, you only attract love. You can't attract anything but love, because there's only two energies, love and fear. So people that don't hold that vibrational frequency, you wouldn't be able to keep in your life. You would be like, it doesn't feel right. Or again, they can't go where you're going. There's a sense that eventually they know that they can't, and they fall out. People that are not on the same vibrational frequency, if they're lower vibration, it just means that they haven't learned enough, that they need more healing. So their ego is going to be bigger. And in that, it's part of times they have to live out certain karmic lessons. Don't be the karmic lesson. If you love yourself, you wouldn't be. And if you love yourself, you're feeding yourself, you're creating yourself, and you're constantly showing people that you're doing that. So people that don't hold your vibration, if they're lower, they tend to go for lower hanging fruit, meaning people that hold the same vibration that they do and that aren't as conscious. Okay. A personal issue reaches resolution. So again, and I believe that if you are creating yourself, that is how your intuition comes, so that you're able to find resolutions. A lot of times we try to figure out answers to our problems by staring at it, and that just creates more anxiety. So you can't tap into your intuition. So a personal issue would get resolved if you were creating yourself. But that's also just a extra message for anyone that is going through something personal right now and they are struggling with it. Also, communication is key. So that's something also to look out for, again, wherever you may have to, especially right now with retrograde, you have to be careful. Communication is key. So if there's anything that is really important that you need to do, Gemini, and I was doing a video for Gemini, so we know that again, Gemini is the planet of communication. So with retrograde, if we know that we have to sign contracts or we have to like do something that's really important, we might want to hold off because communication is key, but we're in retrograde right now. So we have to take that into consideration, especially if you're someone that has a lot of trauma around asking for what you need. Like I said, you want to always practice doing that, but just also know that you're dealing with other people. So retrograde tends to respond to not just your wounds, but the person's wounds that you're dealing with. And though they don't say that, they say, oh, there's electricity problems and there's energy problems. Well, again, if you're holding negative energy, discorded energy in a certain particular chakras, your chakras represent psychological and emotional aspects of you, which are spiritual, but they also represent energetically aspects of you. So if you're out of balance, then a lot of times with retrograde affects those people more because they have a hard time to begin with. They're continually getting in their own way. So retrograde has a way of amplifying that. And you say, why? From a healer's perspective, I believe retrograde is to teaches us to, it doesn't just teach us, it pulls out all our traumas. It makes us look at them because when you're having a hard time, you have no option but to look at them. So it gives us an opportunity to heal. Again, because you're not supposed to, again, do big things. Like if an ex comes back, you're not supposed to, that wouldn't be the best time to date them because it didn't work out before. So most likely it's not going to work out now unless you learn spiritually what was the issue and then do something different. So it's also like not a good time to do contracts because of miscommunication. And if you have that issue, as I just said before, it would just come out. So these are just things to take into consideration, Gemini, a few little extra spiritual messages for you. Now, if you resonated with this video again, please leave me a like. Comment the word healer in the description box if you want to win a psychic reading, and subscribe to my channel. Those are, again, the 3 things that I ask for in order to participate in my giveaways. Okay, until next time, Gemini, be true to you, love you. Bye-bye.